Sibilance. This is Adam. Check. All right.
What is that word? Oh, we'll talk about it when it comes up. The subcutaneous. The thing under
subcutaneous.
The skin. Subcutaneous.
Subcutaneous.
Yeah.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Trek in the Valley, the non-encyclopedic Star Trek The Original Series recap and rewatch podcast where I, Adam Ordall Quinnell, and my intrepid co-host...
Hey, how's it going? It's Al Hirt.
My buddy Al Hirt and I get together in the gloomy, right now, San Fernando Valley to discuss an episode of Star Trek The Original Series. And that's...
What's up, everyone?
Welcome. And if this is the first episode you're listening to, how did you find us? Please, God, tell everybody you know.
Yes.
And we just we start every episode by talking about last week's episode a little bit. We don't get into like what we're doing because who gives a shit? You don't care about that. You want us to talk Trek. You want us to. You love it when we're talking Trek. You dirty little Trek pigs. And so last week we discussed a great episode called "A Return to Tomorrow," where the Enterprise was faced with a specter from mankind's future that was reaching out with their mind saying, hey, you are our space spawn seeds. Fucking weird episode, but I loved it.
And then the whole plan for conquering, me and Adam were both like, I don't know. They really played the long game, the let's use your bodies to make robot bodies to make but we won't take your bodies. We'll use the robot bodies. Don't worry about it.
And they did all of that instead of just stopping a war 500,000 years earlier. So exactly. last week's episode of Return to Tomorrow was about these ancient consciousnesses that survived for 500,000 years after their society died. But their society died because the supreme beings of the planet, fucking stoked both sides of a war that destroyed everything while their consciousnesses were stored in little orbs in a basement.
They just huddled.
They were just waiting for one of their younglings from across the galaxy that have evolved space travel to find them.
I guess that's someone who's superior.
They did all of that instead of just like melting all the guns or whatever. Like it's Jesus Christ. And this week, Speaking of guns, we see a lot of them in this episode, and it's a little bit it's like the Mafia planet, but worse.
Yeah, seriously, it's a rough take.
We'll get into it in a second. So this episode is called Patterns of Force. I love that word force. There's I like that. I don't know if I still like it because David O. Russell's kind of a dick, but that I Heart Huckabees movie. The French lady in that she talks about the force, like force.
The force.
But because she's French, she says like the force. And so whatever, that's what I think. Patterns of force. This episode aired on February 16th, 1968. So exactly 6 years ago. And the anniversary of this episode is coming up just in a few weeks after you listen to this. And the synopsis from old Billy Shakespeare over there at the Paramount Plus synopsis department. Let's see if this is a spoiler-free one.
Oh, okay.
You learn everything about this. You learn everything from this synopsis in the first 2 minutes of the episode. It says, nice. Enterprise is sent to planet Echos to investigate the disappearance of Federation historian John Gill.
Hey, there we go. Nice.
Yeah,
no twist.
It didn't reveal that the Klingons are secretly behind everything. It didn't reveal that Spock and Kirk were going to have their bodies overtaken. Yeah. And one thing that I want to note about this episode, and we'll discuss it, but my wonderful wife pointed out that this episode because there's a couple scenes where Kirk and Spock are shirtless together.
Yeah.
It's like spawned a bunch of like slash fic or whatever, and it's Spurk. It's like Spock and Kirk.
Oh man,
and so we'll get into that a little bit when when they're all dude. I wouldn't Google it if you're not down to fucking clown, dog. Like if you're ready to party, Google Spurk. Spock and Kirk slash fic.
Okay.
Is it just me or does it feel like Chekhov isn't in all these episodes?
He's been gone for a while.
He's
now.
back in this episode. He's in this one. But
really?
It's just one of my first notes is like,
right.
where's Chekhov? Where's our Russian guy to say Russian? Everything is Russian. So this episode, it's just like the synopsis said. They even show the guy John Gill on a screen in the background. And Kirk says he was one of my professors at the academy.
Giving some context to Gill's character here.
Yeah, so, this explains a lot.
Yep.
So they're talking about John Gill's approach to history was important because he
that again.
He looked at history as cause and effect rather than dates and events. So it's causes and motivations rather than dates and events. And it's like causes and motivations. Ooh, that gets a little bit sticky wicket later.
But it's like dates are context too, though. Isn't literally setting part of a story.
It's important how long something ago happened so that you make sure you don't fucking do it again or whatever.
What was it? Who, what, when, where, and why.
Yep. And sometimes how.
Oh, yeah.
The reporter's questions.
How.
The reporter's questions. So basically, Kirk, as they're approaching this planet Echoes, there is an unmanned probe carrying a warhead that's being shot at them. And they stand by phasers. Phasers ready. Range, Mr. Chekhov, with the reasonable wig. And so they shoot it, and it explodes. And whoops, these people should not have this technology, Bones says. This is beyond the Ecosians' technology. Maybe they had help. And then it shows the weird picture of John Gill.
It's like him squinting and looking into the sun outside, and the fucking bugs are everywhere.
So the thing about this picture of John Gill, doesn't that look like a country western album cover from the time? Like it looks like it's like singing John Gill singing gospel.
You just need the white font over everything.
John Gill down home gospel.
Yeah,
and then we get that opening title sequence that we love so much.
So right off the bat, though, here, it's given Private Little War with, these people should not have this technology. It's too advanced. What's going on?
It really often feels like these stories are kind of like they just shuffle the cards of all of the other stories.
Premises and theories, and they wrap them all.
And
they're still knocking it out of the park, though. Like that's what's crazy.
Oink, 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 baby. I'm one of those fucking Star Trek pigs I was talking about. I eat this shit up.
I know. Seriously, the first season I was like, meh. But then, dude, Balance of Terror, I think that just like switched us on. I was like, that episode was insane.
Yep.
We're just still in it.
There's some bangers. Occasionally there's a 3 out of 5. And the episode title this week, we're going to talk about this at the end. The episode title is Patterns of Force. And all of these Star Trek titles, they're either very obvious or you got to think about them.
Yeah, that's true. It is pretty on the nose in this one. But anyways, so we cut back to the Enterprise
every title
in
card,
space.
Every title card is just a work of art.
Oh, yeah.
And
widespread shot.
And so they're back on they're saying, look, this guy must be dead, and this is John Gill must be dead. And they're discussing, so there's Echoes, which is this planet, and then there's another local planet in the star system called
Xeon.
Xeon. Now the Xeons have advanced technology, and Spock actually calls it they have a high level of, they have high technology, and the Ecosians have less advanced technology and are more warlike, right?
Yeah.
And and then they're going to and so they don't know how they've got this rocket. The Zeons wouldn't help them build a weapon, so they got to figure this out. So Kirk and Spock are going to head down there, and they get subcutaneous. They can't bring their communicators, right?
Yes.
So they do though. They might not always have their communicators. Just in case they get separated from their communicators, they have a subcutaneous transponder. So that way, if shit goes awry and they get their stuff taken,
they can transport back up.
They can just be beamed back up when the Enterprise is close enough to do it or whatever.
That's right. That's how you say it. Subcutaneous.
Subcutaneous transponder. And this is a weird edit at about 4 minutes in. Kirk goes, he's wearing his captain's shirt on the bridge of the Enterprise, and he's saying, prepare a subcutaneous transponder. And then it cuts to him holding his arm out, wearing a denim. My wife called it a Canadian tuxedo.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Denim pants and a denim jacket. And then in the event we can't use our communicators, we'll have this transponder. And then it cuts to him saying, insert the transponder here. And Spock's wearing a fucking, looking like a dock worker again with his hat. Yeah. And then they inject. He uses the same injector that he uses for the stimulants all the time.
It's not medically clean, huh?
Well, I mean, he probably has an autoclave.
Right.
An autoclave. That's what tattoo artists and dentists and shit use to sterilize their stuff. Yeah. So Kirk and Spock beam down, and it's so funny because it's always it's like in just the last episode, they said, "Oh, we can't both beam down in case some shit pops off." Oh my gosh!
Yeah, this episode.
And now they're just both now they're here we go, heading on down. So Kirk and Spock beam down to the planet, and they're wearing human clothing of the time or whatever.
Spock always has to wear his beanie.
Spock's wearing his beanie, and I really like Spock's fit in this. Actually, like I would totally wear that with the collar out of the sweater. That's how I dress. And then boom, some guy in a leather jacket falls down, dun, dun, dun. And he says, "Hide!" And then these guys come out, and they call him a Zeon pig, and they got leather boots. And then, what?
Like, oh, they look like stormtroopers, and then it cuts down to their arm, and
they are Nazis. Ooh. They have swastikas.
Yep, the full thing.
They're real ass Nazis. And Spock is saying, "Hey, the non-interference directive says we can't do anything." And so basically,
so he's like, "Hold back, Kirk."
Right. So these Nazis are attacking this Zeon. They call him Zeon Pig. The Zeons are pigs to the Ecosians. And then Kirk and Spock are like, "What the fuck?" And Kirk goes, "Do you recognize those uniforms?" And Spock says, "Mid-century, 20th century Earth, the nation state called Nazi Germany." Oof. And then, attention, there's a loudspeaker, and it's a message, an announcement from Führer headquarters. So this is just Naziville.
Yeah.
And they're saying, starting at dawn, our heroic troops got the Zeon monsters who've been poisoning our planet. So basically, what happened was,
like, how did this all go to shit?
So the Zeons went through their warlike phase. We find out later they went through their warlike phase earlier.
Yeah,
and then they came to Ecosia to help guide the society. Which is they basically broke the prime directive.
Exactly.
And now they're the enemy of the Ecosians. But one thing that I find interesting is, well, first off, because they're Nazis, of course they have a propaganda film.
Yeah.
So they're watching this propaganda film that's just playing in the street. Yeah. And the Nazi voice is like, "Oh, we defeated the Zeons, and the Zeons tried to attack from space, but we launched a rocket, and they were utterly destroyed." Jeez. And Kirk looks over at Spock, and he goes, "You're looking pretty good for a man who's been utterly destroyed, Mr. Spock." And they're all doing in the film, they're doing the Sig Heil and the swastikas, and it's really Nazi stuff. They talk about a deputy Führer who's taking the final decision, which is the death to Zeon. Long live the fatherland. And then a fucking Nazi shows up and is like, "Hey, you guys are clearly Zeons." Now we got to talk about we have to talk about something that I discussed before we came back here.
Yeah.
in this episode, every person that you see wearing a uniform is a Nazi, and every person wearing street clothes is a Xeon. So as far as I can tell, this is a society where like everybody is a Nazi, not just like they voted Nazi, but like they are wearing a Nazi uniform.
All the way to a
like,
T.
you go into a bar and just like it's just all people dressed as Nazi officers. And
it's a nightmare.
And so Kirk and Spock knock out this Nazi, and then Spock dresses up in his uniform.
That's why this episode's given the whole mafioso one too, because it's like that's all they knew, I guess.
Well,
Nazism.
This is a little that one had 100 years.
True.
This is 4 years. This
4
guy
years?
went missing
5
4
years?
years ago.
Oh God, yeah, that's right, and that means he implemented extremely quickly, and in a gross way too.
And not only that, but he implemented it while the Xeons were like trying to help as well. We'll get into all this at the end, but shit's fucked up.
Yeah, it is.
So then Spock and Kirk run into another Nazi that they knock out. And now Kirk is wearing a uniform of the Gestapo. And he says he's a higher rank than Spock. And then they're walking in. They want to go talk. And also we should have mentioned, they showed a picture of the Führer, and it's John Gill, the guy that they were looking for. That's an important thing to...
Dun, dun.
Yeah, it's John Gill is the Führer. He's their Hitler. And so they want to go talk to the Führer, so they go down to Führer headquarters.
They're like, duh.
Which is interesting that it's like right there. How big is this place? How many of these weird Nazi planet people are there?
It's so funny too that he's like, I guess I mean I'm a higher rank than you, Spock. Let's just go look for the Führer.
Yeah, and then
top brass, please.
Yeah, they're just gonna go ask to, like, if I went to the White House and just asked to speak to the
Mr. President.
it's important. It's
I'm a
urgent.
high rank.
It's urgent. So Kirk does this thing where he says, because Spock is like, so they're walking into Führer headquarters, and like an even higher ranking Nazi is like, what the fuck are you guys up to?
Yeah.
And Kirk says, oh, sorry, my friend is, or my commanding officer here, he got his spell wrong because he got hit by a Xeon pig, and then
He's a little shell shocked.
And then Kirk says, I'll tell you, that pig won't be getting up again. It's just really hamming it up.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to
Speaking of pig.
It looks like they're going to get away with it. And then this higher ranking Nazi is like, hey, Spock Nazi, you look pale. You should go see a doctor, and also take your fucking helmet off.
And he's like, I'm not pale. I'm just a little tired, just still shocked from the bullets.
I'm just killing Xeons.
Yeah, duh. Too much killing.
Nope. Turns out that he makes him take his helmet off. Spock's got pointy ears. They know he's an alien.
Bum, bum, bum.
And then it cuts to a dungeon where Kirk and Spock are shirtless and sweaty and being whipped. And the effects, first off, this is a very, it seems like a laissez-faire whipping. And then, and it's just so funny. Kirk's blood is red, so his whip wounds are red.
Yeah.
And Spock's are green.
Mm-hmm.
But it just looks like Kirk looks like he's had lines of like lipstick applied to his body. Like, it's not the effects that we've become accustomed to. And this scene with them shirtless is the scene that launched 1,000 slash fics of them having sex.
Jeez. In the prison.
This guy thinks they're here to kill the Führer. There's an alien. Tell me about the alien. And then we meet Chairman Enig, who is another Nazi, a higher ranking Nazi, who we find out later might not be such a Nazi after all.
Yeah, right.
And he's basically like, Spock, guy, you're not from Xeon. And Kirk and Spock just want to talk to the Führer, and they're refusing to give any information. And then the guy who was originally interrogating them starts arguing with Chairman Enig, because the chairman is like, we can't, at some point you can't interrogate him. We got to try other methods. And the other guy is like, no, we're supposed to kill him. Like, we interrogate him. They tell us what they do or don't know, and then we kill him when the interrogation's done. And it's like, that's the order from the Führer. So what the fuck? And he goes, the interrogation's finished, so we kill him. And Chairman Enig is like, is the interrogation finished? Did you get the information you needed? And there we go. So he doesn't, and then they talk to this guy, who's, let's see here. Who is he? Melicon, is it Melicon or no? No, not Melicon. Let's see. Izak. So they meet Izak, who's the guy that got beat up in the street. And he's like, you're not from here. And this is where we find out the history that I kind of covered earlier.
Yeah.
The Zeons came to help guide their race. And then the Nazis, and they were warlike already. And then the Nazism happened and it made shit even worse. And because the Nazis took the warlikeness of the people and pointed it at the Zeons.
And they made it even worse.
They made it even worse somehow. And it was a few years ago, which Spock says would coincide with John Gill's arrival.
Yep.
And Izak explains, once they kill us here, they're going to kill our home planet. So we got to figure this out. And we're pacifists. We went through our days. I'm worried
they
that
don't want to kill anyone.
He's worried that if they do attack their planet, they're just going to roll over and give up. And he's like, but what I saw in the street today, I really feel like I could kill. And so they got to try and get out of here. They want to get their communicators. And how are they going to do it? What do they got? Like they're shirtless. They're just wearing pants. They're covered in marker.
Oh, and they have their subcutaneous.
What? Their subcutaneous transponders?
Subcutaneous.
I know that word because I have to give.
Subcutaneous.
We have to give our foster cat subcutaneous fluids.
Ah, there you go. That's how it rolls off your tongue.
Yeah, so they're going to use
subcutaneous.
So they're going to use their transponders. They're going to pop their transponders out of their wrists. They give each other tetanus. For sure. So Spock tears apart one of the beds to make a blade, basically, out of some bed parts.
Shiv. Yeah.
A shiv. And they dig these subcutaneous transponders or subdermal transponders.
Subdermal. There we go. That's easy.
Subdermal
Easier.
transponders. They dig them out of their arm without a drop of blood. Very unrealistic. And then Spock...
No screaming. They're fine.
So here's what I thought. I thought they were going to put these little transponder parts in these two pieces of metal. They were going to touch the two pieces of metal together, and they were going to blow up, and the door was going to open. They were going to get free.
Yeah.
But no, Spock's got to put the two pieces of crystal together and hold it in front of a light and aim it so that it melts the lock. And
so
to do this,
it, yeah.
To do this, it refracts through the light through the transponders, the crystals.
Yeah, the
crystals in the transponders. And to do this, Spock's got to get a little boost. He's got to get up a little bit higher
this part.
To get in front of the light. And Shatner, it's like he's never given anybody a fucking boost before. It's ridiculous. He squats down and Spock tries to stand on his knee. It is embarrassing. Do a piggyback ride. Do a piggyback ride. That makes more sense. Get down, get him up there and stand up. What the fuck?
Yeah,
and Kirk's making it like this huge deal. I could give Leonard Nimoy a piggyback ride right fucking now for 10 minutes without complaining.
Well, and just his decisions that he makes, Kirk, every step of the way up is just a terrible choice for putting someone in a, what is it called? When you're giving someone a boost.
I don't know. Support.
It's so easy.
A boost.
Just hold them with your hands.
Put your hands together like an upside down church steeple and have them stand in it. Or I thought of the piggyback ride thing just now.
Use the bed still. Stand on the frame.
Stand on the bed frame. There's a lot of things they could have done.
Anyways,
but Spock makes a laser. Spock makes a laser, cuts his way out. And then that somehow they're able to get the other guy out too. They don't cover that because he's in a different cell.
They cover that whole gag though. They milk it for a bit though with Kirk
he does.
Spock, you're on my back. You're on my back.
Yeah, they milk the gag that Spock is hurting Kirk by standing on his back. And
then they get flogged though.
They do let the other guy. They trick a Nazi, and Kirk says Nazi every time. It's fucking hilarious. And so they trick a guard. They knock him out. They take his handcuffs, and then they're gonna let Izak out and have him show him what's up. Once again, Kirk is dressed as a Nazi, and they're walking through the Führer's
And Bones was one, though, that says he has a point. He's our guide, right? About the new guy.
Yes. No, not Bones. Spock.
I mean,
just
Spock,
said. Yeah,
excuse me.
He's our guide. That's why they let him out. They find a room with some science equipment in it where they were clearly disassembling the communicators. They can't find their phasers. They then meet another Nazi, knock him out, take his uniform.
Yep.
It's very Metal Gear Solid, this episode. If Metal Gear Solid was just somebody surprising you and then you karate chopping them on the back of the neck and they are unconscious forever.
They're just patients and stealthy, sort of.
And then here's how they get out of the Führer's office. Mm-hmm. Kirk and Spock are dressed like Nazis, and they've got Isaac on a gurney between them. And they walk out, and Kirk says, we're killing so many of them, we got to start throwing them away outside in the street. And it's like, that's not how... I bet the guards
so weird.
the guards should have been like, that's not how we don't keep all the bodies inside.
Yeah, right.
Like, we do dispose of them outside. We bury them or cremate the remains or something. What are they talking about? And yeah, Kirk says, hunting's so good. We've caught so many Xeons. We got to dump them outside. That doesn't make any sense. And then Isaac takes them down to his, where the resistance meets, right? Because of course there's a resistance. And Isaac says, Uleta is dead. And then they meet this other guy. They meet the rest of the resistance. And Uleta would have been Isaac's wife. But they didn't get married because of the conflict. And now she's dead. And now he's asking Isaac to bring these strangers in. What the fuck?
Yeah, this is all getting a little out of hand. How people are just getting really comfy with the Enterprise being in their situation.
Well, they don't know really yet. I mean, they do and don't.
I mean, they're just letting these people in.
And keep in mind, if they could communicate with the Enterprise could phaser the entire place from the ship and just knock everybody out, like they did in an Italian planet.
Yeah, set it to stun.
They're trying to make their case to these resistance fighters that they're not Nazis, and then one of the lead Nazi ladies from the view screen from earlier and a bunch of other Nazis come in and they're like, what the fuck? Xeon
this
pigs?
Part's crazy.
Well, one of them calls them Xeon swine. They're mixing it up.
Yes.
And so basically Kirk is saying, we got to talk to the Fuhrer. It's urgent. And then she shoots one of the resistance fighters in front of him to prove how serious she is. And then it cuts to commercial for Tide.
Well, yeah, with the barrel at Kirk's head, too. It goes straight to commercial.
Yeah, she's pointing a gun right at Kirk's head.
Putting everybody at the edge of their seat here.
And then Kirk grabs her, has a gun on her. And then as Isaac's like, hey, chillax. And then the guy that just got shot before the commercial break stands up. He's fine. This was all a ruse. This was just to test Kirk and Spock. Seems like a long way to go, but when you're dealing with Nazis, you got to be careful. And so basically, they're explaining. They're telling her, we know who the Führer is. He's one of us. We got to fucking figure this out. And they are going to go. Oh yeah, and she says, so you're telling me the Führer is an alien? And they're like, yeah, dog. And she says, but I thought he was one of us. Now to hear that he's an alien sent here to destroy us. And Kirk's like, no, that wasn't his mission. No, God, no. He was sent here to observe, not to interfere. Something went wrong. We find out what went wrong later. And it's the fact that John Gill is just a fucking Nazi, a future Nazi, ladies and gentlemen. No. He would have loved Khan, if you know what I mean. And so Melicon is the vice Führer. He's like like Dick Cheney to John Gill's Führer, right?
Yeah.
And so they're saying, and this guy who plays Isaac, his name is Richard Evans, and he is so fucking good in this part. He's like, hey, living under this ain't nothing anyway. I would die. I would gladly commit suicide helping these people get to the Führer and try and fucking save everybody. So basically, the Führer's given a big speech. And of course, this lady Doris, who is she's like a famous Nazi lady who did like Nazi heroics or something, right? It turns out her dad was a Nazi. but knew that something bad was happening, and she turned him in to gain favor with the Nazis. So she's a resistance person.
It's like a double agent thing.
So tell me, so they're going to sneak in. So she can't have a +4 for this event. She needs to get in. What do they do?
They decide to do a pretty interesting little ploy here. I like it better than, just sneaking in as stereotypical bodyguard. But they just slapped the Nazi logo on like a bunch of cameras and lights. And Kirk is like, okay, we're going to be a film crew and we're just going to film you as we go inside the event here.
Yeah, they're making a documentary about the hero of the fatherland, which is who she is.
Clever.
And so there's a really interesting shot when they pull up in the car and get out, because you don't usually see just a regular set like for like a European city. It looks cool. And they just kind of breeze past the guards like, we're making a documentary about the hero of the fatherland. Get the fuck out of our way.
Smile. Can you smile more?
It's interesting that you mentioned they put the swastikas on stuff, because even the lights, the lights have swastikas on each side.
Yes.
It's like it's ridiculous.
It's just put it everywhere. It's just no one's going to pick that up, even steal it as a prop in the real world. Like...
And this is when, right? I wonder. I bet that goes for a mint on the the dark web.
Oh God.
That one guy that was friends with Clarence Thomas. That one, the rich Nazi guy that was friends with Justice Clarence Thomas, who had all the Nazi memorabilia.
Oh, shit.
I wonder if he's got like any of these cameras from this episode.
Maybe.
And this is so Spock, after they get inside the building, Spock is like, I understand why you humans gamble. It's absolutely thrilling to not know exactly what is going to happen. And Kirk is like, Spock, we'll make a human out of you yet. And Kirk and Spock is like, I fucking hope not.
No.
Very good, Spock. We'll make a human out of you yet. And so they're trying to figure out, because they want to get to the Führer. Mm-hmm. And it's very strange, because the Führer only broadcasts his message from this little booth, and he doesn't let anybody see him beforehand or get in there and talk to him. And Isaac is like, it's a little booth. We can just shoot through it and kill him. And they're like, we're not trying to kill him, dog. We're trying to fucking figure out what happened and fix it.
Yeah.
And they're getting shots of her walking around.
It's a pretty solid cover, though, because, Nazis are very prideful of whatever they stand for. So
and they did a lot of propaganda films and shit. So makes sense.
I say whatever they stand for is in like what, the planet, the Echoes, right?
Yeah, they want to kill all the Zeons. And then we get to a very important scene in the cloakroom. They're trying to find a private place where Kirk can try and use his reconstructed transmitter to get to speak to the Enterprise. And of course they get through, because Uhura is the bomb, as my wife said. She was like, I told Adam that Uhura was just going to pick up right away, and she totally does.
There's a funny little bit too, though, where like Spock's dialing and calling, and he's like, Kirk, we're in a closet like really far away, and I'm not sure if our communicators are even going to pick up. And Kirk's like, think positively, Spock. And he goes, all right, I guess.
And they get through.
And then, Uhura picks up immediately.
And Kirk is like, Uhura, we don't have much time. Patch in the computer. We need to get Bones down here dressed as a Gestapo doctor from 1944.
She's like, Gestapo?
All right. And then it cuts to the kind of the drinking mixer. Isaac is like talking to Nazis, looking around. And then they're waiting for Bones. And here we go. Bones is having a problem with his uniform, and so they beam him down, and his problem is he can't get his boots on, his Nazi boots.
Oh, that's right. Before they send him over,
so
they say
he's got a problem with his uniform. So I thought the problem would be him going, I don't want to be dressed like a fucking Nazi, but the problem is, these boots are too tight. The damn computer made my boots too tight.
But I was thinking, though, there's been so much time that's passed. I guess the context doesn't really matter to them anymore, other than them blending in. But it's still awful, though. But it's funny. I was thinking oh my god, the transporter's mixing up the years, or maybe he's fucking wearing something too big, clown. Or maybe he's wearing something too tight.
It's so funny that
it's just a little gimmick on the boot.
Spock explains. Spock is like, dude, just point your toe.
And wiggle it around.
Apply pressure, you fucking idiot. And then
suck it up.
Chairman Enig comes in and is like, oh, you're just some Nazis doing Nazi stuff? Cool, carry on. And then he leaves. And they're like, how did he not recognize us?
Okay.
But we find out that he did recognize them.
Hey.
And then he did recognize them, but he is a resistance person himself. Right. So many double agents, triple agents. Well, no triple agents, but so many double agents.
Yeah.
And then we finally see this John Gill's speech. And he's basically just saying, we, the Ecosians, must kill all of the Zeons because they are impure. And he's basically just saying, and Kirk even calls him on it. He's like, he's just saying weird Nazi words that don't make any sense.
Taglines,
And he looks drugged. And also, you can't see his mouth. It's covered by a microphone.
Yeah, it looks like he's just standing there silently.
And I thought that they were going to get outed, that the Enterprise crew was going to get outed, but they're not. So now they're going to try and get into that room where the Führer is giving his speech, and it's real easy because they just pose for pictures with the guards and then do the Vulcan death grip, and Kirk gives him a chop, and that's that. And then this asshole, Melicon, he's like the real ass Nazi. Yeah. And he says, well, we've got our orders. We're going to kill all the Zeons. We're going to launch a bunch of rockets and we're going to blow up their planet and kill them all. And then it cuts to our heroes in the room with a totally doped up, asleep John Gill.
Yeah.
And Kirk is like, you got to find out what happened. Give him a stimulant or something.
And Bones is always passed out.
Yeah, and Bones is like, I can't give him much of a stimulant. And he gives him a little bit more, and he says, you got to give him more. And Bones doesn't want to give him more because he'll die.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want his heart to explode, guys. This is uncharted territory here.
And then when do they wake him up? So now they give him another little shot, and then he's reaching the level of consciousness. It's almost like he's in a light sleep. Oh, this is fucked up, because Bones says he can't see or know what's going on, but he can answer your questions. So it's like, oh, so you set it up exactly what we would need. That's right. So Bones' stimulants come up short, and it's Spock that has to go in. So Spock does a mind meld with him, and Spock puts him in a state where he can answer questions, but he can't do anything else.
Okay.
And this is where they're talking about Kirk saying, like, we could save Xeon if she, because the lady Doris is just like, just stop them with your ships, just stun them all with the stun beam from space, motherfucker. And he goes, we could maybe save you, but what about Echoes? We can't convince these people to stop being Nazis. We can't just win by show of force. So they're trying to figure out what's going on. And then he finally gets to ask this guy questions.
Yeah.
And he's like, Gil, why did you abandon your mission? Why did you interfere with this culture? And what does he say?
Gil's like KO'd to you on the chair.
He says, I took a lesson
in Earth history. You studied history.
You knew what the Nazis were. And here we go.
Oh, God. The most efficient state Earth ever knew.
So here's where...
That's what he says.
So Kirk is asking John Gill, why, John Gill? Why? Why the Nazis?
Weird.
And John Gill is like, they're the most efficient state Earth ever knew. It's like what my wife said. It's fucking keep the trains on time. Bullshit. That tiny country. Spock says they're right about Germany.
Good medical advances. Bullshit.
Yeah. Spock says, quite true, Captain. That tiny country, beaten, bankrupt, defeated after World War I, rose in a few years to stand only one step away from global domination. It was brutal, perverted, had to be destroyed at a terrible cost. Why that example?
Yeah, geez.
And then he says, perhaps Gill, thinking a state like that run benignly, could accomplish its efficiency without sadism. No. What John Gill is he's just a Nazi. Like he says,
he just wanted
it was the most
to
efficient.
Try it out.
Here's the thing: Nazi Germany wasn't as efficient as they made it sound. Like it was just a brutal, disgusting, fucking death march. It's like it's just so funny. And John Gill would know that, and so John Gill was just a Nazi. And of course, it's like this ends up just being a ringing endorsement for the Prime Directive in the end. and I just want to see what does Gil's last thing. Gil says it worked at first. It worked. It worked. And then he says, oh, then Melicon.
Yeah.
So what does he mean it worked? Like he got everybody together to be Nazis, but they weren't killing Zeons until Melicon gave him the drug that knocked him out and like made him so he was pliable. And Melicon like, yeah, it really did.
Maybe he was like, maybe the planet was financially set and all that, and that he was good.
And again, this is 4 years.
True.
This is four or 5 years.
That is really fast. He was super old by that point too. 4 years ago.
Yup. And then they're about to give him another shot, but Bones says no, he'll die. And then Chairman Eneg comes in, and this is when we find out that he was one of them.
Oh yeah, the switch up.
Yeah, then they're gonna as a gag, they're gonna introduce Spock, or they're gonna be like, "Hey, Melicon, we captured this fucking alien that you were looking for." Yeah. And then Melicon is like, huh, this guy's even more about Spock. He's like, this guy's even more inferior than your average Zeon. Look at his underdeveloped ears and his pasty skin. And Spock could like crush his larynx with his fucking hand if he wanted to. And while this is going on, and so basically they're going to distract Melicon with Spock. And while that's happening, Kirk is just supposed to be watching John Gill, but Kirk, he's a little scamp. He's going to give John Gill that stimulant that Bones said would kill him. And really, I don't care what happens to John Gill because he is a Nazi. He's a future Federation Nazi, which shouldn't be possible, but is. And he blasts him one more time with a stimulant. And he's trying to ask John Gill one last question. He's saying, you've got to speak. You've got to speak. What does he say? This is our last chance. Oh, shit. And what does he say? Oh, Gill doesn't say anything. Cuts back to the Nazi room. Oh, does it?
He looks like half asleep.
Yep. Cut back to the Nazi room. And this is where he said, this is where Melicon gives a class on genetic impurity by dressing down Spock and saying, note the sinister eyes and the malformed ears. Definitely an inferior race. And Spock is like, dude, we're so superior. It's like a whole thing. What the hell happened? I want to see the professor's last words, and then we'll be done with this fucking uncomfortable Nazi episode. Or is he just dead? No, he says, oh, hold on. Here we go. Oh yeah. So as John Gill is coming back to life, Melicon is just explaining the low forehead of Spock and how he'll make an interesting display. And then cut to John Gill on camera.
Dun, dun, dun.
And Melicon is trying to he's like, hey, we got to turn this off and let the Führer go to bed. He must be tired. And then with his last energy, John Gill explains, this is all bullshit. I've ordered the rockets and the tanks to return to base. We're not going to kill the Zeons. To the Zeon people, I promise reparation. And then Melicon shoots up the window just like Isaac wanted to do earlier, kills John Gill, who made it through all of the drugging and then all the speed that he was given. He lived all the way just to be shot through a window like a real asshole. And then when Melicon gets killed, he's got a when but she keeps face. He shoots up the windows, and then Isaac pulls a gun and shoots him, and he goes, "Oh!" It's like in Mike Tyson's Punch Out when you punch Bald Bull in the tummy right at the right time.
It's like a shocked O face.
And now they're like, "Well, we're not Nazis anymore." And John Gill, with his dying breath, little blood coming out of his mouth, says, the prime directive is important. Basically, this all just ends up being, even historians fail to learn from history. They repeat the same mistakes. We must invent some sort of, basically, he says, the non-interference directive, I was wrong. We absolutely should have that be a very important thing. Mm-hmm. And then the resistance people are like, listen, you aliens, you got to get the fuck out of here. We'll take care of the rest. Don't worry. We're not going to become Nazis again. And they just got to kind of trust it. Well, we're just going to go and hope that you four not Nazis are going to be able to convince all the actual Nazis to be good people again. And I thought this is where the episode was going to end.
Yeah.
I thought the episode was going to end with Kirk, Spock, and Bones in Nazi uniforms. And then there's going to be like a bump, end of episode. But no, they get back up onto the ship.
Good.
And Spock is like, I'll never understand you humans. Somebody as smart and as logical as John Gill would make such a fatal error. And then Kirk says, he drew the wrong conclusion from history, I think. The problem with the Nazis wasn't simple, that their leaders were evil, psychotic men. They were. But the main problem, I think, was the leader principle. What he's saying, Spock. And then Bones says, what he's saying, Spock, is leaders use psychotic man. Problem, I think, it was the leader principle. And then Bones says what he's saying, Spock, is that the man who holds that much power, even with the best intentions, just can't resist the urge to play God. And then Spock says, yeah, I got it, fucking idiot.
Yeah, but it's like the thing that they do, absolute power corrupts absolutely, but it's like the thing with that whole theory is like the Nazi party probably wasn't the best group to show that as an example of.
Yeah, it's just like and also, how did John Gill fucking get absolute power? Like, they didn't cover
that,
like,
right? Exactly.
And that's what's so interesting is I guess I'll talk about it in the wrap up. But
actually,
Bones says
clever, these Earthmen.
He said it also proves an important Earth saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Darn, these clever Earthmen, they really know what they're talking about, wouldn't you say, Spock? And
oh my gosh.
And Spock says, yes, Earthmen like Ramses, Alexander, Caesar, Napoleon, Hitler, Li Kuan. Your whole Earth history is made up of men seeking absolute power. And then they're bickering, and Kirk is just like, gentlemen, we've been through one civil war. Let's not start another. Mr. Chekhov, take us out of orbit. Warp factor 2. And then they're just gone and washing their hands of the Nazi planet. And I don't think they're ever going to check back in, but we get a great shot. Not only did they add a remastered planet, but a remastered sun in the background.
Oh, yeah. They got to make it look flashy.
So this was fucked up because a lot of the actors are Jewish and they had to dress like Nazis.
It was weird.
When Kirk is saying that that thing at the end about how the principle of it is that fuck it, I can't remember what I was going to say when I said I'll talk about it in the wrap up. But what did you think?
Principle?
That's patterns of force.
Oh,
what did you think?
We were talking about how, like, in the ending of the patterns of force of, like, why the guy got it wrong. I guess it was just the reasoning I don't love. The episode of them just, like, dressing up in Nazi garb and all that was kind of rough. I mean, I guess they had to blend in. I think the film crew part was probably my favorite aspect.
Hilarious.
That was funny. Yeah, it was clever.
Yeah. Oh, I remembered what I was going to say.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Interesting fact about the Xeon-Ecosian relationship, right, is the Ecosians were this warlike people that didn't have their shit together, and the Xeons were a few centuries ahead of them. And the Xeons came to Ecos, and they gave the Ecosians the technology that the Ecosians would then use to kill them later. Whoa. Fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's pretty spot on.
What a wonderful little bow that puts on it.
I think it was very, like, dark, this episode.
Yeah, there was some laughs, but it was definitely, plus think about it. These guys are only like 20 years or 22 years north of the fucking Holocaust.
Yeah, that's right.
Ridiculous. Like,
that's gotta be weird to watch.
Like, they all had family that were in it, and then they have to be. I bet there's a lot of, like, people who are really nerds and want to look into this stuff. There's probably stories where they talked about their experience making this episode.
Oh,
Go find them.
It's probably super uncomfortable.
Yeah, the internet's full of good.
Well, and it's
stuff like that.
Also, the flogging that they get whipped. They're prisoners. But
A
they're
lot
always
happens.
prisoners, though.
A lot happens.
Yeah, but then it was clever that they already. It was funny that you pointed out too that they immediately used their handy dandy transporter tool, ASAP,
Transponders.
or transponders,
Subdermal transponders.
subdermal transponders. Yeah, just immediately.
Oh man, so I mentioned this when we were talking about before, but there's a great sequence in one of the Rick and Morty Thanksgiving episodes
yeah.
where they're like, we're going to put microchips in all these men and then we're going to turn them into turkeys, and they're going to take these pills before we turn them into turkeys, and the pills will show who's a turkey and who's not, and it will also be able to transform them back into a man. This will be important later. And they say that a few times, and I was just thinking about that when they're putting the transponders in. I'm just like, this will be important later. I'm like hearing it in my head. Yeah. And then they didn't even end up having, they didn't even get to use the transponders for transpondering. They had to make a kooky little laser. I liked it. I thought it was a good episode. I thought it kind of bumped a little bit with the Gangster Planet in that it's like, and also just how the fuck did this John Gill guy, it doesn't really sound like he was giving them technology or anything necessarily, because they got that from the fucking Xeons.
And like, I guess he broke the Prime Directive though into like, at first he was just observing the planet for its culture, right?
For like a week.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, if I turn these people into Nazis, we could have progress.
It's so weird though, because it's even the title of the episode. Like we were going to, we should mention that. The title of the episode. Even the title was like Patterns of Power. It's like
Patterns of Force.
Force. It's like,
and that's just
technically it is a force, but like.
Well, no, it's saying that the pattern of like, so we're going to do a segment where we talk about the title, and that's what this is. We're doing it now. Title corner. So Patterns of Force, I think it's like the way that force gets used throughout history.
Right.
It's like the pattern that always like it starts out as something benevolent and then it becomes fucking evil.
And I'm surprised they didn't even say, all the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That was the end of the line
they
that I
left
thought they were going to say.
Yeah,
but I think like there's, like you said, patterns of force. They could have used another example of force. Like this was just a little like you said, it felt like the Mafia episode where it was, we got these extra Nazi uniforms
like they had Nazi
lying
costumes.
around. Yeah, we got all this World War II shit lying around. Let's go ahead and use it.
And I'm just going through.
What was the other resistant leaders' names though?
Oh, so we had Isaac. Doris was the lady. And then
there's one called
Enoch. Yeah, that was the chairman. And then Abram. Abram was the guy who got fake shot in the gut.
Yes,
and
that's
pretended
right.
To, that was a good little sequence.
That was a funny little fake out. Yeah,
I've seen this episode a couple times in the last few years. I totally forgot about that. And it's interesting because that guy who played Abram is William Wintersoul. What a wonderful name, Game of Thrones name, William Wintersoul. And I got shot in the tummy acting, like it's as good as his doing fake getting shot in the stomach acting is better than like when like Shatner is actually shot in the stomach and pretending. But yeah, so good stuff.
But what was I gonna say too? Actually, I did look up the content. I did look up the compendium here for a little bit.
Yeah, what does it say?
The Alan Asherman. They did pick some parts. It was like, well, I mean, it is pretty spot on where, on the nose with the whole comparison, because the planet Zion, or what is it? Zion is supposed to be Zion.
Yeah.
And then Isaac is Isaac. Abraham.
The veil was very thin. Like it was they were not right, it was not subtle. This was not a subtle analogy. This was pretty much like they needed a scalpel and they had a bag of hammers to tell this story.
Yeah, it felt like very in your face too. This felt, I don't know, again, like this didn't feel as funny or silly,
Of course
when
not.
they like got disguised and all that, because it's uncomfortable for everyone. I feel like filming all that too would suck.
Yeah.
It's not like super fun.
I did like that the turnaround of the hero lady of the Nazis is a Xeon, and also the fact that they call they say the Fuhrer is an alien. That's a great line. And how Shatner pronounces Nazi and Gestapo. It's pretty funny, but yeah, pretty dark episode. And we also do ratings.
What would you rate it?
I'm gonna give this. We've got the rating system. We'll do 1 to 5 spurks. Spock, Kirk, sex things. So on a scale of 1 to 5 spurks, I give it a 3 because it kind of bumps with the gangster planet. It's like. And it just doesn't make a lot of fucking sense. How did the guy get the power?
Yeah, they don't get the resolution.
What did they do? They took just like 5 years to turn everybody into Nazis. It was like anybody who wasn't in a uniform was a Xeon. It just, it was not like a standout great episode for me, but the parts that were good enough to sustain it and get it a 3. What about you?
I feel like it was a little. I mean, see, I'm a little subpar. I don't know. I feel like it was under 3.
You thought it was under 3 spurts?
Yeah, I just think the spurk. I mean, I guess like yes, if you do want to watch it for that spurk action, yes, I would recommend that. But other than that, like you said, I don't know. You could have just watched the Mafia episode and just like filled in the blanks from there. Like, oh, yeah, making a society around X thing is bad. You know, it's like. Well, he probably meant to do some good thing. It's like, you know, it writes itself sort of. Mm-hmm. But I think, you know, how we were talking in the last episode of how they take a deck of cards like tropes and they just shuffle them around and like try to make some stories. It's like they got a really shitty hand this time, but then they just kind of went with it. And then the whole like, oh, we got extra World War II costumes and stuff. And the fact, yeah, you know, it's offending us, but like, you're right. They were on 20 years after it. That'd probably be a little more offensive.
Well, I mean, I also know that it's a TV show. Like, I'm not super offended.
Still,
like, I watched
working.
Like,
yeah,
you know, we've all watched Indiana.
Story.
We've all watched Indiana Jones movies. Like, I'm cool with the like. I think the iconography is gross, but I'm putting myself in the shoes of cast members who are Jewish who have to dress up like Nazis 20 years after their
weird.
Grandparents were killed or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But other than, it's like I feel like
fuck you, Gene Roddenberry.
You can obviously, you know, put it in context and, you know, oh well, this is a story and you know, there's villains, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like it's so crazy that after all these years, that shit still kind of has that impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I'll tell you, it'd be weird for it to not be weird. So.
It's crazy and it's also
fascinating.
Yeah.
All right, so anyways, so you give it a 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5. Yeah,
wow,
you can skip it.
Wow, 50%. And that's Patterns of Force.
Patterns of Force, yep.
So we after we discuss the episode, we recommend something to do or watch. What do you got?
Yeah.
You mentioned a bunch of music last week.
Well, I was just sitting more on it. The 21 Savage album was pretty good. Oh yeah, but actually I am planning on checking out this other group at a venue called Red Rocks in Colorado. It's called Jungle.
A venue called Red Rocks.
You know, that one small venue.
Little Red Rocks. What is it?
Jungle, Jungle. I don't know why I spelled it out like it'd be spelled like anything else.
I was expecting it to be like Jungl or some.
No. Just okay. Jungle. Yeah.
Jungle. And it's like jungle music, like house music.
I know, right? I thought it would be like some crazy shit. No, it's like nice indie, I guess. What is it? Someone was describing it the other day. It's like yacht music, and I was like, I feel like they'd make a lot of intros for movies.
Yeah,
like epic soundtrack kind of sounding music. It's just very what is it called? Festive, happy-go-lucky indie stuff. Indie music, I guess. Indie rock.
Yacht rock is a genre.
Yeah, that's what it is. But it's a little more indie, I guess. There's a lot of good vocals, and it feels like every song that they come out with is like a big band. There's like a lot of people involved, you know, it's a lot of vocals, a lot of instruments, a lot of violins, this and that. It's like they're full-fledged, you know, it's not just like a drummer, a guitar, bass.
There's a lot. It's
like all that.
Big production.
Mm-hmm.
It's big production. Not like a big but like a big music production. That's great.
Jungle.
Cool,
yep,
Jungle.
You should check it out.
Right
Jungle.
on. I am going to recommend that everybody gets stoked about the new season of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur that's coming out in the next couple of weeks on Disney Plus, and I'll probably recommend this again after I've watched some of the episodes, but
Yeah.
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, it's a cartoon on, I probably recommended it on a previous episode last year.
Yeah, I think so.
But season 2's coming out in a couple weeks, and it's such a great show. It's got like meta elements, but it's not too heavy-handed with it, and the characters are great. It's about this super smart science girl who befriends a dinosaur from another dimension when she's trying to find out what happened to like her grandma or her grandma, who is like a scientist, who is Moon Girl, basically.
What the fuck?
Dude, it's great. And like, I watch a lot of stuff that's for kids because they're doing a good job. Like, the animation is really sharp. It's like a good style, and it's really funny. And it's just like one of those times when Disney and Marvel like actually are doing something right and good. So Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur season 2 coming soon. Check it out.
It's funny that you bring that up too about the animation being crisp. Is we've gotten to a point, I think, where it's like animation got so real. Like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Soul.
No.
That movie was fucking freaky. Like, you see the streets of New York, and me and my mom, my family, we were like, that looks just like New York. Like, they need to just stop. And like, I think it's kind of turned back of like, oh, we need to make this hyper stylized in this one genre or this one style. And it's like going to look amazing because we have the tools and means to do that now, rather than like, this needs to look glossy and amazing and real.
I think a good example of that, yes,
Like,
absolutely. It's to
flipped.
stand out.
It's fucking dope, though.
Yeah, I think a good example of that is the
market's
rise of
answering.
the rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie that was on Netflix.
Yeah.
That came out like a year before Mutant Mayhem and is so much better than Mutant Mayhem. It's fucking hilarious how much better they did with so much less money and good voice actors that aren't celebrities necessarily. But where they're trying to make a hyper stylized, like real ass animation rather than trying to make animation that looks real ass, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like we've already reached that point. We kind of know we've already scratched that itch. But what's happening then next week?
Wow, yeah, this is a great. The last couple episodes have been over an hour. We're carrying it out here.
Yeah.
So this week we talked about Patterns of Force. Next week we are talking about. Oh, hold on.
Drum roll.
I did look it up. I think I've even watched it. Episode 22, By Any Other Name.
Huh.
By another title that speaks volumes and is a saying. Wow, we'll get into that in our new title segment. And
it's higher rated than the last one here.
It is, and we are going to do a bonus episode soon where we go over all the titles. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
we have to do that.
We do have to do that.
But yeah, that's it. So come back next week. Thanks for listening. Thank you so much. And just do all the stuff in the bumper. Tell your friends. And thanks so much. See you next week. Trek in the Valley is executive produced by Adam Ordall Quinnell and Al Hirt. Theme song by Al Hirt. Recorded by Adam. Mixed and edited by Al. Check the show notes for our socials. And you can email the pod at trekinthevalley, all one word, @gmail.com. Like, subscribe, review, and always explore strange new fucking worlds.